Good morning, y'all. How you doing? This is Divine Celia. I got on here real quick because we're kicking off Lent. Now, I know I am not religious. I follow my Father. But for those of you that are, I was going to implore you to do an experiment for you to see for yourself. As you know, we're in the age of data and we love proving things. So during these 40 days, okay, and 40 is a very significant number. During these 40 days, when you're making a sacrifice, I'm going to ask you, for some of you, for your sacrifice to be to walk the way Jesus did. Now, let me explain. Because you may be asking, well, that's loaded. What does that mean? Okay. First of all, Jesus didn't go with the establishment. Jesus went with the people. He helped the people. He enlightened the people. So when the Pharisees, Sadducees, and clerics were getting on him for not observing Sabbath, he said, isn't it better to feed a man who is hungry or sick or dying than to observe the rules of Moses? And then they said, how are you going against the rules of Moses? He said, I am the rules of Moses. Do you know what that means? That means you walk the laws. That's how you become the laws. So I'm asking you and I'm imploring you to see those who have less, to talk with them, give to them, teach them how to fish. Don't necessarily just give them the fish. And if you do give them the fish, still teach them how to fish. Spend the time. Okay? If you're someone who, you know you're intuitive, but you're afraid of using that, okay, and with your discretion and safety, when you feel that someone is hurting or need help and you have that answer, safely, if you can, try to give that person the answer. If they're not receptive, walk away, but do not put yourself in an unsafe situation, okay? Because not all, and I know, not all people accept that. So please don't put yourself in an unsafe situation. But if you can, please do. If you feel inclined to share love, that could be a hug, a handshake, a recognition, someone sees you, I understand. Do that safely, okay? Being stuck in a church for 40 days don't mean anything if you're not walking like Jesus. This is your time to walk like Jesus. This is your, if you want to say, what would Jesus do moment? But it's more than that. You got to understand how he walked. And to understand how he walked, you got to understand his word. And his word was love. Love the Father, Spirit. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's those two rules. You are to discern what that means. Okay? It's very simple. He was for the people. He sat with the lepers. Everyone else was afraid to catch something. He knew he couldn't, right? But everyone else would be like, oh, why are you, that looks bad. Why are you? No. Because if we're going to do an each one, teach one, each one, save one, see how much better it's going to be after 40 days. Another thing, try during the season not to judge. That even includes making fun of people and thinking that shit is funny. That's judging, okay? Because you're putting a label on somebody that they didn't ask for. Try not to do that. See how that works. Try to be more stoic. Try not to respond emotionally when someone is having an emotional outburst towards you. Try to step outside yourself and see that person. And a lot of you are going to find you didn't even know that person in the first place. You thought they were one way because that's what you wanted to see, and you're realizing how they really are. There's a reason, as I told you before, that these rules are set up in there, and it's not just about saving your soul. It's actually life lessons so you can pay attention and see things and pay attention to things. Take this 40 days to move against the grain and not go the way everyone else is going, but to find your flow in spirit. Remember, the theme is love as it always has been. That's the theme. That's no change. But again, you got to know what love is. For some of you that give too much, why don't you during this 40 days practice self-love? If you need help with that, leave me a comment. I will gladly help you. I will gladly. And I'm not talking about just self-care. Self-care does not equal self-love totally. Okay. Self-care is the action, but self-love is way more than that. So I know I get little when people are like, oh, well, self-love is self-care. Yeah. And more, way more. So you need some suggestions on that? That's my wheelhouse. Okay. For these 40 days, it's nice if you give up food, and that's not really a sacrifice. Now, some of you may say, but that's my vice. That's nice. But that's not what Jesus did. For these 40 days, your challenge is to walk how my Father walked, in his shoes. I'm not saying you're being a martyr and you're sacrificing yourself like that. No, no, that's not the point of walking in his shoes. The point of walking in his shoes is to understand his word and love. That's the point. And whatever you're giving up for Lent, if it doesn't bring you to the understanding that by me giving this up, this sacrifice is teaching me a lesson, then you giving up the wrong shit. The sacrifice is supposed to teach you a lesson, like Jesus' sacrifice, but his life was a sacrifice because of what he was sent here to do, which was teach all of us to love. Love is sacrifice. Love is equal exchanging time for something that we don't want to do for somebody else sometimes. All right. So my loves, I hope you can hear this. So my loves, we're going to be going through this some more of what this means and what this looks like. Going through his word. So when I pull that Bible out, I will be pulling out multiple books, including the Ethiopian Bible, including the regular Bible, and including a book that deciphers many texts across many cultures that mean the same thing to get to his word. It's about his word. That's all it's about. So we're going to be going through that from the sources that they need to come from. Gnostic text, different things. Hermetic text, different things. Because the answer is never in one place, but it's always here in you. And that's what I'm going to get you to realize. I'm going to keep repeating that until you get it. You're going to be like, Divine, I heard you say that already. Until you get it. All right, my loves. So think long and hard this Lent season about why you're sacrificing something and what you're sacrificing. If you call yourself trying to do what Jesus did, or what would Jesus do, then do what Jesus did. He didn't own material items. He would count on his people to be fed, if you want to go to that extreme, right? He would count on spirit to take care of him. He would stay safe by feeling in his intuition the places not to go, because that's where the Pharisees were waiting for him. He would know. He would use that intuition to know. He would use his hands-on healing. So those are my Reiki practitioners. Those are my other hands-on healers, speaking whatever, by hand, speech, sight, spell, whatever it is. That's healing. So we're calling our healers. That requires energy and time. That requires you giving, and it may not be for payment. That may require you, asking someone permission as you walk by them to give them energy because they need it, because it's for the general collective. Many different ways to do this. But please, as you walk this path, please be safe. Please discern. Use your intuition. Use your empathy. Have your boundaries. Know how called you are, but always be safe. Don't step into someone's energy space without asking. Don't give of yourself in selfish martyrdom when it's not necessary. Don't pick up crosses you're not supposed to pick up. Only yours. And help someone else when they need it. All right, my love. I love you. We will get up on this day 1 of 40 days. Love you, my loves.